Welcome back, y'all. I'm the Loud Little Ducky. We are going to be going over the rest of Matthew Farwell's affidavit in this part 2. There is a trigger warning for this video due to the sensitive nature of this topic on the case. Content warning: graphic and disturbing details, acts against a minor, and sexual abuse. If any of these topics may upset you, then you may want to click out of this video and go to another video, or we will see you in the future. Please take care of yourselves first. Page 27 of 45. E. The day Birchmore died. On February 1st, 2021, at 12:19 p.m., Birchmore sent Farwell text messages indicating that she was going to be released early at 12:35 p.m. from her job at Sharon Public Schools. Farwell told her that he would not be in the area that day. Later in the afternoon, on February 1st, Birchmore told Farwell that she had received an early gift in the mail, and that she was not planning to have a baby shower until late March because of the then ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. She told Farwell that once she learned whether they were having a boy or a girl, she wanted him to purchase clothes for the child to wear when he or she came home from the hospital. So once again, these are plans for the future, plans that the baby is going to come. Why would she want to purchase all of this if she wasn't planning on bringing that baby into this world? Investigators have reviewed surveillance videos from Birchmore's Canton apartment building, see footnote 12, which says, "I am aware that the electronic timestamp on the apartment's complex video surveillance system was off by approximately 13 minutes. The surveillance video times set forth in this affidavit account for this 13 minutes difference and are therefore the approximate real times of the events." On February 1st, 2021, she is seen on the video at approximately 5:01 p.m. accepting a DoorDash order, and then again going outside briefly and returning with a snow brush at 5:31 p.m. and at 5:33 p.m. respectively. The last time Birchmore is seen alive on the video is on February 1st, 2021 at 5:33 p.m. Later that evening at approximately 9:08 p.m., Farwell sent Birchmore a text message asking whether he could come by for a second. At approximately 9:10 p.m., Birchmore sent Farwell a text message indicating that when he arrived at her apartment, the door would open for him. This is the last known outgoing message sent from Birchmore's cell phone. Surveillance video shows Farwell entering Birchmore's Canton apartment building at 9:14 p.m. See footnote 13. I have reviewed Massachusetts State Police investigative reports, which tentatively identifies Farwell as the person on surveillance footage entering Birchmore's apartment. On February 1st, 2021, I have also reviewed a report regarding Texas State Police detective's interview of Farwell, in which Farwell admitted he went to Birchmore's apartment on February 1st, 2021. In that interview, Farwell stated that he had been there between approximately 9:10 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. So he admits to being there. We know it is him. He's not even denying it. In the surveillance video, Farwell is wearing street clothes, a hoodie with a hood up, and a face mask that is similar to the medical face masks that many people use during the COVID-19 pandemic. I have interviewed multiple witnesses who have each indicated that Farwell resisted wearing a mask during the pandemic. One of those witnesses stated that Farwell would only wear a mask when on duty and required by department policy to do so. So, yeah, he wasn't one that was just wearing masks all the time and everything else. The video surveillance recording shows that Farwell left Birchmore's apartment at 9:43 p.m. F. Canton police officers found Birchmore's body on February 4th, 2021. And here is where Canton Police Department enters the picture, and we start to have crossover of questionable officers that worked for Canton and Norfolk County and stuff. That is also in the Karen Reed case doing crazy things as well. Everything is suspicious. On February 4th, 2021, Canton police officers conducted a well-being check at Birchmore's apartment. One of Birchmore's co-workers called the police because Birchmore had failed to show up for work that day. When officers arrived, they found Birchmore's body seated on the floor in a reclined position with a duffel bag strap tied around her neck. That strap was connected to her closet doorknob. The closet that Farwell had inspected approximately 1 week earlier. At least one first responder quickly concluded that Birchmore had been deceased for days. I have reviewed crime scene photos that depict Birchmore wearing the same clothing that she was wearing when she is seen on video entering her apartment on February 1st, 2021, at approximately 5:33 p.m. This is consistent with Birchmore having died later that same evening. Right. So if she would have changed clothes, it could have meant she took a bath. It could have meant that it was the next day. Like all this stuff. But she was wearing the same stuff that she was shown to be wearing on camera. A reason to change your outfit every day. So people know you aren't up in your house just wearing the same outfit for many days in a row. Your clothes can indicate what day things happened on, possibly. If getting up in the morning and just doing it isn't a reason enough, sometimes we need a push. Maybe it'll save your life. Well, it won't save your life one day, but maybe it'll catch a murderer one day. But things to be safe. According to police reports, when Birchmore's body was found, her cell phone was on the floor, located approximately 12 inches from her right hand and 6 inches from her bent right knee. I have reviewed the data on Birchmore's phone. A log report indicated that the phone was locked from 9:13 p.m. on February 1st, 2021, until the device was powered off because of battery loss on February 3rd, 2021. So another indication that she didn't make it past that night. And because she had no more communications, nothing on her phone, Google searches, ordering things, looking at social media, none of that. From the time that he left that apartment, basically, or entered, until Farwell killed her. On February 1st, 2021, while still locked, Birchmore's phone recorded a screenshot of a black screen at 9:18 p.m. In other words, after sending a final text message to Farwell to tell him the door was unlocked, Birchmore's phone locked and was not unlocked until after the device was recovered by the police. Health data on Birchmore's phone indicates that the last movement recorded by the phone on February 1st, 2021 occurred at 9:40 p.m. See footnote 14. Based on my training and experience, I'm aware that Apple iPhones can be used to track and retain health-related data of the user, including but not limited to steps taken. That was 3 minutes before Farwell was captured on surveillance video leaving Birchmore's apartment. Specifically, this indicates that the mechanism that the Apple uses to record movement registered 8 steps at approximately 9:40 p.m. These recorded steps occurred while Farwell was still in Birchmore's apartment. The phone recorded no additional steps between 9:40 p.m. and the time it was recovered by first responders on February 4th, 2021. So it was probably wherever she had sat her phone when he did something to her. It's him picking up the phone, walking it back to the bedroom closet where Birchmore has been staged, and setting her phone down, and then him leaving. The phone recorded no additional steps between 9:40 p.m. and the time it was recovered by first responders. As noted above, first responders ultimately found the phone next to Birchmore's body. Based on my review of frequency of Birchmore's phone use over weeks, months, and years leading up to her death, her failure to access her phone is inconsistent with her usual habits when alive and awake. See footnote 15. I have also interviewed multiple witnesses who have reported on Birchmore's frequent, almost incessant phone use. In fact, one witness referred to Birchmore's phone as her third hand, as it is for many of us. Sometimes, even when I'm talking and I'm not doing anything, I'm still fiddling with my phone, scrolling through it, closing apps, looking at stuff, just because it gives me something to do if I'm like listening to somebody, so my hands can stay busy. 77. I reviewed Birchmore's phone use from the hours leading up to her death on February 1st, 2021. The following are some of the items in Birchmore's phone data from the hours before her death. This evidence that appears to be inconsistent with Birchmore, a pregnant woman choosing to die by unaliving herself that day. 1:25 p.m. to 1:31 p.m. Birchmore communicated with photographer regarding the timeline for her booking a newborn photography shoot. 7:57 p.m. Birchmore texted a friend to obtain baby clothes from her. 8:25 p.m. Birchmore performed a Google search for Cubby Kids furniture. What is Cubby Kids furniture? Is that something I need to know about? I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe it's just a Boston, Massachusetts thing or something. I have to look. G. The condition of the items found in Birchmore's apartment were inconsistent with Birchmore dying by unaliving. I have interviewed family members who have helped clean Birchmore's apartment in the days following her death. Some of the things they observed were also inconsistent with Birchmore deciding to die by unaliving. For example, during the first visit, they noted that Birchmore had been in the middle of doing laundry when she died, with the load of wet clothes in the washing machine and another load dry in the dryer. Additionally, they observed a homemade sign saying, "Congrats, you're going to be the father." That sign had an ultrasound photo on it and was sprinkled with glitter. Again, it shows the teacher in her, and she's being creative and using supplies that she has, probably from being a teacher. Maybe she's also a crafty person, I don't know. Like, she took the time out of her day to do these things. Like, it just shows her excitement. And who's doing laundry? Why do you need to wash your clothes that you're basically not going to be wearing ever again? You're not. And if you're washing baby clothes so that they're clean when the baby wears them, why are you doing that? If you are planning for the baby to never wear them, you shouldn't have even bought them. It makes no sense. It is suspicious. And I'm sorry that sometimes we have to censor certain words, and I try to censor certain ones. Some of them I don't. This video will never, ever, ever be monetized. So this case won't ever get there. Additionally, in Birchmore's apartment, family members observed a new baby stroller that was still in its package. They also observed homemade and store-bought onesies for a baby. One onesie read, "We're going to be parents," with a set of footprints underneath. Birchmore had packages that had been delivered recently, including clothing and other supplies for her baby. Birchmore had ordered items shortly before her death, and packages continued to arrive in the days following her death. Someone who is going to do this to themselves is not ordering things to show up after they're gone, because they're not going to have a use for them. So why do it? Like, I don't understand how this did not scream homicide to law enforcement at Canton. Or did it, but we protect the blue? It is so apparent. There is so much evidence that points to this is not her own doing. Finally, family members found a necklace that belonged to Birchmore lying on the floor of her bedroom. This necklace consisted of a thin gold chain with a pink flamingo charm. See footnote 16. In my review of Birchmore's phone data, I noticed several pictures of Birchmore in which she is wearing this necklace. The family members observed that the necklace chain was broken, but not at the clasp. There was also a large clump of hair on the chain, which, I mean, that happens to most people that wear necklaces or women, because our hair lays on top of it or something. For my review of the crime scene photos, I observed that while the strap was still around Birchmore's neck, the necklace was broken and hanging from the left side of her neck. The charm was on the right side of her abdomen. So it's hanging from the left. The charm had fallen, which it probably swung that way and landed that way. But it's also like, why didn't it fall straight down? Like, how did it end up falling to the side if she's like leaning a certain way? The gravity from it breaking, which it would have been broken by the strap, because or her pulling it to loosen the strap, like fighting back, or somebody doing things, and while she did that and she was trying to get the strap from around her neck or whatever, and she was trying to fight back a little bit and trying to get air, she ends up breaking her necklace. But if you just put something and lean in a certain position, I don't see how that necklace would have broke unless she was attacked. H. Autopsy and medical evidence. An OCME pathologist hereinafter the medical examiner performed an autopsy on Birchmore's body. The medical examiner determined that Birchmore's cause of death was asphyxia by hanging. The medical examiner ruled Birchmore's manner of death as unaliving. The medical examiner's written autopsy report noted that Birchmore's hyoid bone, which is the U-shaped bone at the front of the neck, was fractured on the right side, and that she suffered from petechial hemorrhaging of the bulbar and the palpebraal conjunctivae, which we have learned about petechial in another case. This is what Owens claims she had, but no, she didn't have it. She lied about it. Birchmore has it, and it's been confirmed by medical experts and doctors. Additionally, the medical examiner concluded that Birchmore had hemorrhaging on her left sternothyroid muscle. The medical examiner's autopsy report further confirmed that Birchmore was approximately 8 to 10 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. So she was still in her first trimester. The autopsy included toxicology testing. The results of the toxicology tests were negative for all substances, except for sertraline, which was likely explained by the antidepressants Birchmore had been prescribed. And a lot of people are on sertraline. It's a very good antidepressant for a lot of people. As a part of this investigation, the government retained Dr. William Smock as an expert to independently review the crime scene photos, autopsy photos, and the medical examiner's autopsy report. Dr. Smock is an emergency medicine residency and forensic fellowship trained physician with more than 40 years of experience in forensics evaluations of injuries, crime scenes, and forensic evaluations and reconstruction of wounds, including asphyxia-related deaths. His training and experience and position as a police surgeon, instructor at the Louisville Metro Police Academy, an instructor for the U.S. Department of Justice, a professor of emergency medicine, a medical director of an EMS service, physician and medical advisor to the FBI and the U.S. Marshals Service, and an assistant medical examiner with the Kentucky Medical Examiners, including the emergency treatment, investigation, and reconstruction of asphyxia-related deaths, and the analysis of a crime scene for evidence of alteration. He has treated and evaluated thousands of patients, both fatally and non-fatally injuries, who have experienced with physiological consequences of asphyxia, including strangulation. Dr. Smock has written, lectured extensively, and trained thousands of law enforcement officers, physicians, nurses, judges, and attorneys on evidence collection, crime scene investigation, the analysis of reconstruction of wounds, injury mechanisms, and the medical risks and consequences of asphyxia. So, yeah, he's qualified, basically. He's done a lot. And I can't wait to see who tries to disprove this. It makes me question the person that actually works for Canton that did the original autopsy. Because this is the one that I believe that Birchmore's family hired to do on her, because we've gone over this hyoid bone and why the autopsy not only points to it, but so does other evidence to it being a homicide. 84. Based on his review of the evidence, Dr. Smock has made several observations and conclusions that call into question the prior finding that Birchmore's cause of death was suicide, and instead further confirming that Birchmore's cause of death was homicide. Yeah. First, Dr. Smock concluded that the fracture of the right superior horn of Birchmore's hyoid bone is not consistent with the position in which the first responders found her sitting. A sitting hanging is called an incomplete hanging, meaning only partial body weight is applied to the neck ligature. Dr. Smock's review of hundreds of cases of hangings in forensic medical literature found no reported cases of hyoid bone fractures in seated women. Fractures of the hyoid bone are more commonly seen in strangulation assaults, in hangings with full body weight applied to the ligature, not seated hangings. So it would have been more believable if instead of a doorknob, a ceiling fan was used, or something, or the top of the door, things like that. But thank God he's stupid. Second, Dr. Smock noted that during the autopsy, a pattern imprint was documented on Birchmore's right upper chest. The pattern imprint was the consequence of a buckle or buckles from the ligature strap being forced downward into Miss Birchmore's chest. The presence of this pattern imprint is not consistent with a ligature hanging. Rather, the presence of this pattern is consistent with blunt force trauma from an assault. When first responders found Birchmore's body, the buckle responsible for this imprint was observed just below her right ear. However, the location of the imprint on her chest is not consistent with an incomplete ligature hanging. Third, Dr. Smock reviewed the autopsy photos that depicted Birchmore with areas of skin missing from the inferior and lateral aspects of her nose, consistent with abrasions. These types of injuries are commonly seen in cases of suffocation when the victim moves their nose back and forth in effort to breathe. Fourth, Dr. Smock noted that Birchmore was in the habit of always wearing a chain necklace with a flamingo pendant. The chain was found broken around Birchmore's neck. The breaking of Birchmore's chain necklace is consistent with a struggle, which is what I was kind of saying. There would be no reason and cause for it to break if we were just doing the strap. Dr. Smock, based on his education, experience, training, and his review of the materials in this case, opined with a reasonable degree of medical and scientific certainty that the cause of Miss Birchmore's death is asphyxia, and the manner of death is homicide. Massachusetts State Police interview of Matthew Farwell. Lovely. On February 6, 2021, 2 days after police found Birchmore's body in her apartment, Massachusetts State Police detectives interviewed Farwell. The interview occurred in the parking lot of a Stoughton elementary school. During this interview, Farwell made several false statements about his relationship with Birchmore. Farwell told officers that he was involved in a sexual relationship with Birchmore, but he claimed the relationship only began in 2020. Based on this investigation, Farwell's statements to detectives was false. As described above, Farwell began having sex with Birchmore in 2013 and continued to have sex with her until near her death. Farwell told detectives that he had only had sex with Birchmore 2 or 3 times in the previous year. This statement was also false. Based on text messages between Farwell and Birchmore, Farwell had sexual intercourse with Birchmore on at least 10 occasions between January 1st, 2020 and February 1st, 2021. So at least 10 times within a little over a year. Farwell also told detectives that he could not have been the father of Birchmore's unborn child because the last time he had intercourse with her was October of 2020. This statement was also false. Set forth below is a text message conversation between Farwell and Birchmore on November 18, 2020, in which they discussed an upcoming sexual encounter. Farwell says, "I'm going to try for tonight. I've been in interviews all day from the murder. Sorry." Birchmore says, "Exciting. Okay, I'm running to the store and doing something for you, then I hope you can come." Farwell says, "What are you doing for me?" Birchmore says, "LOL, shaving." "Are you planning on rolling me over? I need to know what you want if you come." Farwell says, "If you want me to roll you, would you want me to use a condom if I roll you?" Birchmore says, "I don't have any, LOL. I never picked any up." Ma'am, if you're going to the store, pick them up when you go now. Or just don't do this. Don't do it. If you could go back. Birchmore says, "Do you want me to just take what you do or try and say no? I know being told no is your favorite." Farwell says, "Say no." Birchmore gives a emoji face. She says, "I can do that." Yeah, because he still likes to act like a rapist. It's gross. And why does she thinks this is okay? But she's been groomed and trained to think that this is how it should be. Approximately 20 minutes after the foregoing text message, Farwell told Birchmore that he was at her apartment, and subsequent text message indicated that she let him in. Approximately 25 minutes later, Birchmore asked Farwell via text message whether he enjoyed having vaginal sex with her again, and he responded, yeah. Yeah, that pretty much confirms it. Like you just admitted right there. During the February 6, 2021 interview, Farwell told detectives that he had been at Birchmore's apartment on the night of February 1st, 2021. However, he denied having anything to do with her death. He told detectives that he had arrived around 9:10 p.m. and left around 9:30 p.m. I am aware from my review of surveillance footage from Birchmore's apartment building that Farwell actually left at 9:43 p.m. Well, like, that's still the gist. He was there for about 20 minutes. 9:30, like he could have said 9:45, but like he probably didn't really know the time. That one's not a big thing. If that's all you have on somebody, then you need more, but they have way more on this guy. That was after Birchmore's phone stopped sending messages and recording movement. Within approximately 13 hours of Farwell's visit to Birchmore's apartment on February 1st, 2021, his wife gave birth to their third child at Newton Wellesley Hospital, adding to the intensifying pressure to ensure that Birchmore would not disclose information regarding Farwell's conduct. And that poor baby, she's going to grow up. Or he, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but this baby is going to grow up knowing that while she was brought into this world, his father was out killing the person he was having an affair with and had groomed. Every year on the birthday of this child is the anniversary of the death of somebody that their father killed. Like, he just leaves horrific things that are going to need therapy. Like, it just destroys everything he's involved in. Like, never once did he think about what he was doing to his family. It's just sad to think about, like, what his kids are going to have to go through because of him. Farwell told detectives that he had not seen Birchmore at all in the week leading up to her death, except during the visit to her apartment on February 1st, 2021. Well, that's not a good day for you to be there, because that's the day she died. Based on my review of the text message between Farwell and Birchmore, Farwell visited Birchmore at her apartment on January 29th, 2021, so he was there just a few days prior. Farwell told detectives that Birchmore had been sectioned many times. Based on my training and experience, sectioned is a term that Massachusetts law enforcement officers often use to refer to the practice of involuntary hospitalization on temporary basis persons with severe mental health issues. However, the Stoughton Police Department, the law enforcement agency in the town where Birchmore lived her whole life before moving to Canton on or about December 1st, 2020, has a record of Birchmore being subjected to this temporary mental health hospitalization only one time, in May of 2020. Which, I feel bad learning that, because the way that he made it seem is that she mentally wasn't well, or maybe like she is mentally and emotionally like underdeveloped, like maybe she's not all there, or she has boundary issues, like they make her seem like there was something wrong with her. And I don't know if there was really something going on, or I know she's had to deal with a lot in her life. Some, she knew what was going on. But with Farwell, both Farwell brothers, and Divine, she had no idea what was really happening when it was happening. Like, even up to her death. And he just chalked it up to, oh, she's just crazy. Well, apparently she's not just crazy. She hasn't been multiple times, like you say. She's not just the crazy person that has mental issues and she's not all there and she doesn't understand when you tell her that, I'm not your boyfriend, but in her mind she still thinks you're your boyfriend. Those types of people. She wasn't one of those, but Farwell makes her seem like one of those. Because he's a lying piece of shit. According to police records and information disclosed by Person 7, on that day, Birchmore had gotten into a fight with a family member who called the police and reported Birchmore was going to harm herself. The police took Birchmore to the hospital, where she was evaluated and deemed not a risk for self-harm. She was released a few hours later. So, no inpatient care. She wasn't staying in the hospital for days and weeks on ends. She wasn't in and out for multiple years. Like, that was not the case. According to Person 7, Birchmore stated that she was not thinking about unaliving things. She was just angry at her family member. Additionally, I'm aware that minutes after Birchmore's release from this unfounded section, Farwell and Birchmore engaged in a graphic sexual conversation. Later, Birchmore apologized for worrying Farwell, and Farwell replied, "I wasn't worried. I know you're fine." So, here he is admitting. He knows she's not cuckoo. She's not crazy. Not delulu. She's fine. She's not that kind of person. So you know she's not crazy. 98. The Canton Police Department has no record of Birchmore being subjected to temporary mental health hospitalizations. So Stoughton only shows 1. Canton shows 0. While there is evidence that indicates that Birchmore may have had unaliving ideations on a few occasions between 2016 and 2018, which I believe she was dealing with deaths of family and stuff then. Like just dealing with everything that you went through. And a lot of people have had times where you have thought about doing that. Like, some people wonder, what would it be like? Should I? Would people miss me? But it doesn't mean they're doing it or they're going to do it, or just because they're feeling sad. But yeah, if you hear somebody talk like this, definitely speak up. Maybe make sure that they don't have access to certain things, whether you have to secretly put them away. Tell them that you went to go get their knife block polished and cleaned or something. That's why it's removed out of the house. There's ways to do things, and sometimes people think about them. It doesn't mean they're actually going to act on them. Which Farwell likely knew about because he was exploiting her during that time. I'm not aware of credible evidence of any unaliving ideations in approximately 3 years leading up to her death. So, basically from 2018 to 2021, like, there were no thoughts or conversations about that, no mental anguish that brought her to that point of depression. In fact, all of the witnesses who agents interviewed about the interactions with Birchmore in the weeks leading up to her death suggested that during that period she was excited, optimistic, and involved in future planning. She was probably the happiest she's probably ever been. Like, she was getting to become a mom she was having a baby with the man that she loved and wanted to be the father. And especially just a week prior, he had finally come around. So there could have been the possibility of them actually kind of being a family. Yeah, there was that other family on the side, but he was going to be around still for her, and he was going to be around for the baby. Like, she was probably the happiest she had ever been, until she realized that it was all a lie. Person 7 had a therapy session with Birchmore on January 31st, 2021. During the meeting, Person 7 screened Birchmore for signs of depression or unaliving ideations. She found nothing. Person 7 had regular sessions with Birchmore and noted no signs of depression or unaliving ideation in the months leading up to Birchmore's death, and had her next appointment scheduled with Birchmore for February 4th, 2021. So she didn't make it to that appointment. Paragraph 100. Additionally, Farwell told detectives that he had been trying to distance himself from Birchmore. This is inconsistent with evidence that in Birchmore's final days, Farwell asked for a key to her apartment. I have also reviewed text message from January 28, 2021, just days before Birchmore's death, in which Farwell told her that when he came over that night, he would give her hugs. Yeah, nobody wants your hugs. Hugs of death. In that same conversation, he told her that he may not be able to visit her because he was at a death, but that it was all good because we do them all the time. Footnote 17, I am aware that in Farwell's time at Stoughton Police Office, as a Stoughton police officer and then detective, he responded to unattended deaths. In addition, I have reviewed a text message exchange between Birchmore and Farwell from January 29, 2021, in which Birchmore expressed joy at Farwell agreeing to engage in sexual activity with her again. J. Farwell's post-interview conduct. Following Birchmore's death, the Stoughton Police Department placed Farwell on administrative leave. Around that time, Farwell met a co-worker, Person 4, at a local bar. During that meeting, Farwell told Person 4 that he had sexual relationship with Birchmore. However, according to Person 4, at no point during that conversation did Farwell express any sadness, grief, or remorse about Birchmore's death. Farwell told Person 4 that he was angry with the Massachusetts State Police for looking into him. Well, what are they supposed to do? They're looking into you because they need to look into you, because you are their guy. You're the one who did this. And I'm sorry if that angers you, but if you didn't want to spend your life behind bars and have your whole life blow up at one day, maybe you should have thought about that 10 years ago. At some point during the summer of 2021, Person 4 attended a social gathering with Farwell, during which Farwell participated in a joke about Birchmore being hung on the door. Excuse me? So, she has passed at this point, because she died in February of 2021. And by the summer of 2021, 6 months or less than 6 months, you're making jokes about it? It's not funny. Like, I hope people looked at you like, what are you doing? Like, why would you say that knowing the circumstances in which you placed her? Guilty conscience much? 3. Additional evidence relevant to detention. A. Farwell had a history of choking Birchmore. Through this investigation, agents have identified evidence that Farwell expressed an interest in violent sex and has a history of choking Birchmore. On more than one occasion, Farwell asked Birchmore to perform his arping fantasies during sex, whereby Birchmore would pretend to be the victim of Farwell's stimulated sexual assaults. Moreover, I have reviewed text messages that indicate that over the course of their relationship, Farwell initiated the concept of choking Birchmore on numerous occasions. In 2020, the year preceding her death, text messages reveal that Farwell told Birchmore on at least 20 separate occasions that he would grab her throat, pin her down by her throat, squeeze her throat, or choke her during sexual activity. And then it gives the dates that these messages were sent on. Based on my review of Birchmore's journal entries as early as 2013, when Birchmore was just 16 years old, Farwell introduced the idea of choking during their sexual encounters and discussions. So this is why she thinks that sex is aggressive and it's supposed to be this vulgar thing, and he likes to be told no and he wants her to be a child, and she never got to know what it was like to do that with somebody who actually loved you, like who actually made love to her. She just experienced abusive interactions with him. One such example of Farwell promising to choke Birchmore occurred on October 14, 2020, when Farwell told Birchmore that he was going to cover her mouth during sex, and maybe I'll choke you a little. In the same conversation, Farwell told Birchmore, I'll grab your throat and I'll grab your throat and say you won't say a word to anyone. It's just his sick, gross fantasies. On October 15, 2020, Farwell told Birchmore that during their next sexual encounter, he was going to grab her throat and say, "Shut the F up now, or I won't pull out." See footnote 18. This footnote is kind of funny, and it shouldn't be, but it is context for if you are what kids say are boomers or something, or even an elder millennial. And it says, based on my training and experience, I know the acronym STFU means shut the F up. So just in case maybe a judge or somebody else that's reading this, they're like, STFU, what does that even mean? And then and then sometimes the parents or the grandma and grandpa are like, I learned what this means today. And then they'll go brag about learning that new acronym, and they'll be like thinking they're cool and hip. But sometimes we have to look at some things, and all of this is serious and gross, but sometimes we have to take moments and just deflect a little bit, because if we don't, it's very unhealthy, and it can we need to find light in things. We need a little bit of distractions while we're dealing with serious situations, and this is serious, and covering this is very important. It's not fun to sit here and listen to what somebody went through, but it's important. And if anybody comes across this and is realizing that, you know what, my boyfriend says things like this, or my boyfriend does this, they might come to realizing that in the middle of explaining this woman's situation, that they could end up in this woman's situation and they get out. We talk about this so we learn, and we can better protect ourselves and protect our loved ones. But we can look at some other things that are more lighthearted. They continue in saying, on November 13th, 2020, Farwell and Birchmore again discussed choking. In that conversation, Farwell told Birchmore, maybe I'll hold you down by your throat while I pound you. Ugh. He asked her how tight he should squeeze, and then stated that he wanted her to feel like, oh my God, this is really happening and I can't stop it. Well, you made her feel that way in real life, and she couldn't stop it, unfortunately, because you're a monster. Farwell used violent sex as a form of punishment. Birchmore journal entries from 2013 through 2020 detail continuous and sometimes violent sexual relationship with Farwell. Birchmore often journaled about Farwell using sex acts to punish her. According to her journal entries, Farwell would engage in forceful oral, vaginal, and behind sex acts to punish her for her mistakes, such as getting bad grades, having intercourse with other people, and failing to share her cell phone location with him. Yeah, a bit controlling. But she can't control you. While you get to go sleep with somebody else, your wife. Like, that's okay. Your punishment is started and is still coming. Like, your punishment will last until the end of your days. I have reviewed numerous text messages that Farwell sent Birchmore, including some from March of 2019, which are consistent with Farwell's practice of using sex acts to punish her for lying or being intimate with someone else. For example, in a text conversation on March 7, 2019, Farwell said, "You would have to take a serious pounding to make me happy." Birchmore says, "Is it for everything?" Farwell says, "No. You owe me 3. I'll give you a break and spread them out." "Oh, how kind of you, sir." Birchmore says, "Please, not all the same day." Farwell says, "No, I'll give you like a week so you can feel it, and then as soon as it goes away, I'll get you again so you feel it for like a whole month." So he's going to hurt her, let her heal from that hurt her again and again. Birchmore says, "It's not going to be a fun month." Farwell says, "Not for you." Why would you agree to this? Like, you're not going to do that to me. I'm sorry. None of that is happening. That's what I would say. You're not coming over. I'm not letting you into my building. C. Farwell's fixation with ARPing fantasies. Text messages between Farwell and Birchmore reveal Farwell's interest in sexual assault. For example, in one text conversation on November 8, 2020, Farwell told Birchmore that he enjoyed having sex with her. When Birchmore asked what would be perfect for him, Farwell replied, "You say no and make me take it." Full R word. See footnote 19. Based on my review of text messages between Farwell and Birchmore, I believe Farwell is referring to ARPing as the R word in this message. When Birchmore indicated that she was amenable to that, Farwell responded, "Doesn't matter, I'll do whatever I want anyways." During another text message conversation between Farwell and Birchmore, Farwell instructed Birchmore to call him Daddy during sexual encounters. I find that weird. I am not calling anybody Daddy except for baby daddy, but we don't have encounters such as those. But I ain't calling on my daddy. I had a dad. His name was not the person I'm dating's name, or not dating or having certain encounters with. And I'm not screaming, no. Not calling anybody that. It's creepy. It's weird when I hear people call people that. To each their own if you do that, but that's just not my thing. In that conversation on October 18, 2020, Farwell told Birchmore that Daddy was going to engage in booty sex with her. He also indicated that when he was done, he was going to grab her hair, pull her head back, and tell her to keep her effing mouth shut. Do you understand me? Well, you silenced her mouth forever, didn't you? Whether she understood you or not. And you will do whatever you want anyways, whether she consents to it or not, because that's what you've done for 10 years. D. Farwell has obsessive and controlling tendencies. Text messages between Farwell and Birchmore included Farwell's repeated demands that Birchmore set her phone's location sharing settings to allow him to always view her location. In these text conversations, Farwell indicated Birchmore needed to share this information in order to gain back his trust for her alleged lies and infidelities. A. On March 11, 2019, Farwell asked Birchmore why her location was off and why he can no longer see it. B. On March 22, 2019, Farwell asked Birchmore to reveal her location. When she responded that she was at 7-Eleven, Farwell told her that he knew she was in Abington, and he asked multiple times why she would go there when Stoughton has 100 convenience stores. On April 22nd, Farwell sent Birchmore a text message stating, I know you're blinking. You're hiding shit. Your location is off again. June 22nd. What is she doing on the 22nd? All these things happen on the 22nd of each month. Sent Birchmore a text message asking why she turned off her location data the other day. Okay, so she didn't do it that day. July 5th, the day after 4th of July, 2019, again reached out to Birchmore saying, I see your location is off again. In July of 2020, Farwell apparently transitioned from wanting to track Birchmore's location to prioritizing secrecy. Yeah, like he was controlling, wanted to know everything, where she was at every point, because he needed to know if she was talking to somebody, was she telling details, what all was she doing, who knew about things. Like, he needed to keep a close eye on her and showing his dominance over her. And then he wanted to start being secret about it because he knew it was blowing up in his face. Farwell says you can turn your location back off if you want in July of 2020. Birchmore says it wasn't off, that's why I wasn't sure why it wasn't showing up. Then I just unshared and reshared it with you. You can have it. It's been a thing for years, LOL. Farwell says, LOL, okay. Birchmore says, I don't care if you know where I am. I'm not doing anything. I shouldn't be. My leg's shaking a shit ton right now. I'm feeling that tomorrow. Okay. Farwell says, LOL, I know that I just don't really like any of that stuff. Big brother is always watching. Birchmore is like, I don't understand what you mean. Farwell's like, I'm just saying iPhones keep track of way too much stuff and I don't mean anything by it. Yes, you absolutely do mean something by it, Matthew. You know that people know what you're doing. Yeah, and Big Brother is always watching. But you didn't seem to care. Until it started biting you in the ass. E. Farwell's iCloud account contains disturbing images regarding violence and necrophilia. As if it wasn't already bad enough, it gets worse. During this investigation, pursuant to federal search warrant, agents obtained and reviewed data from Farwell's iCloud account. Located in Farwell's iCloud were several memes that indicated his interest in sexual intercourse with dead bodies. Ugh. A meme that states, "What does a pulse and an orgasm have in common? I don't care if she has either." Another meme states, "If you F a corpse on a waterbed, it feels like they are participating." That's nasty. A meme glorifying a person who kills and sexually abuses someone who is someone who no one will miss. Farwell's iCloud data also contains images that reveal his interest in domestic and sexual violence. A meme containing a photo of a woman with tape over her mouth that states duct tape turning no, no, no into since 1942. Which I have seen that meme somehow. I know what that one looks like. I don't know why I do, but I've heard that one before. Farwell's iCloud data also includes images that could reveal his interest in strangulation. For example, one such image states when she says, "Choke me, daddy," and you get carried away and now she's dead. There is also a screenshot of an image of a woman saying that she could not sleep, followed by a man choking her saying, "Good night, bitch." Farwell's efforts to conceal his crimes. On February 9, 2021, after giving his personal cell phones to state police detectives, Farwell used his Stoughton police-issued cell phone to make and delete 2 Google searches. First, Farwell searched for and deleted, "Can delete iMessage be recovered by Celebrite?" He then searched for and deleted, "Can you revoke consent in Massachusetts?" Well, did you know that minors can't give informed consent? So whether they you got consent to do it to a child or you didn't, the law says you could never get consent from a child. I have identified text messages between Farwell and Birchmore in which Farwell directed Birchmore to destroy evidence of their sexual relationship. On March 11, 2019, Farwell sent Birchmore a text reminding her to make sure you clear this all out. On March 19, 2019, Farwell sent Birchmore texts about his desire to use sexual violence and to pretend to ARP her. At the end of this conversation, Farwell sent her a text indicating that he was going to bed and instructed her to clear out this text. On June 5th, 2019, Farwell directed Birchmore to make sure all of their text messages and Facebook messages had been deleted. If somebody is telling you to delete your messages, that's never a good thing. They're cheating and you are the other person. They are deleting theirs because they don't want anybody to see it. I've had people tell me, delete these messages. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I don't delete them out of my phone because I don't have a reason to. I don't have anything to hide from anybody. But if they do, that's on them. But nobody's going to see my phone. I don't have anything to hide. But if somebody is saying this to you, ask questions or get out of that situation. On June 5th, 2019, Farwell directed Birchmore to make sure all of their text messages. Okay, we read that. There are also text messages between Farwell and Birchmore in which Farwell directed Birchmore to destroy evidence regarding the beginning of their relationship. This would be evidence of Farwell's efforts to coerce and entice Birchmore to engage in sexual intercourse when she was 15 years old. Farwell: wish we had just done it for real the first time. Birchmore: I know you do, baby. Sad face emoji. Farwell: it would have been perfect. Birchmore says yes. Was it still perfect the first time? Farwell says, of course it was, baby. Birchmore gives a happy face. Farwell says, I never thought you'd let me. Birchmore says, I never thought you would. Farwell: I wanted it so bad. Birchmore: so did I. I knew the day we made eye contact, I wanted you to F me. Farwell: you should have told me. We could have F'd so much sooner. Yes, just younger and younger the child is, the better, right? No. Birchmore sends a happy face. Farwell says, clear that out. Clear that part out, baby. Birchmore says, I did. Farwell says, good girl, like she's some kind of dog. Conclusion. In the information set forth above supports the government's motion to detain Matthew Farwell pending trial in this case, sworn to under the pains and penalties of perjury, and it is signed by the special agent of the FBI on August 28th, 2024. So that is the end of this document. If you would like to know about resources, please stay tuned after. But if you want to continue following this case, we do have another document to go over in this particular case that will be out in the next few days. Please subscribe, like this video, and keep yourself safe. If you are in crisis, or you know somebody that is in crisis, please call 988. There's 24/7 call, text, and chat available. As well as if you know a child who needs help because they are being groomed or abused, you can call the 24/7 Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-A-CHILD. You can also call your local authorities and report it.